Hey everyone, just want to let you know this is a re-upload. Some of you might have already seen this one. I originally took it down because of copyright claim that blocked it worldwide, and so now hopefully this one meets the standards that YouTube likes. So if you're seeing this one, it means I've uploaded it and it's been sitting around for like 3 days just to make sure copyright claims weren't going to happen. And by the time this video releases, episode 5 and 6 I believe have already come out. I'll just add some quick notes about those since they're out right now. Episode 5.
もう汗マジですごい。体育でもこんなにかかなくない？
2枚重ねてすごい。
All hail the new bra. I might have seen things like new bras, but I didn't know they existed or what they were really used for. I think episode 5 is really cool to show the cosplay scene. It kind of looks like Comic-Con, which is a huge cosplay event. It's also like a huge doujinshi event. It's like just a huge anime manga event in general. But I do know in Comic-Con, cosplay is like one of the forerunners. It's like one of the main reasons people go there. And once again, episode 5 fills us with a lot of insight into like what people experience while wearing the cosplay, like such as heat exhaustion, or the straps being too tight, so on and so forth. So once again, the show is continuing to flex its insight about the cosplay scene to the audience, as well as some nice fan service. And then lo and behold, like in episode 5, the scene that I thought was going to happen till the end of the series happens right there. There's a bit of a caveat to it, so I mean, take it as you will there. And then episode 6 is the introduction of a new character. Once again, My Dress Up Darling competently handles his pacing. In this episode, we're introduced to our obligatory small, short character, and she has her own fan service scene as well. Now I'm hoping people aren't up in arms about the fan service of this character when she's technically older than Marin. And then again, this anime is not real people anyway. And then another scene from episode 6 that I really like is when Marin kind of like realizes, oh, she might have feelings for Gojo. It's really cute, it's really endearing, I love it. I thought this show wouldn't tackle the romance aspect of it until like much later into the series, maybe like episode 8 or even 10. But I'm glad it's coming up early on in the series. Otherwise, that's really about it. I didn't want to talk too much about them since they're later episodes, and I feel like these first 4 episodes have everything you need to know just to get into the series. As by episode 6, the show starts to feel a bit more comfortable with its audience. But anyway, here's my impressions. Hey everyone, how's it going? Truman here. Today's anime impression is My Dress Up Darling, which Japanese name I totally forget. It's like Sono Bisque something. But this is made by Cloverworks, which is pretty cool. Cloverworks, why'd you screw up Persona 5 so much?
You don't want to be like this. This is disgusting. This is awful in every way. If I could kill it, I would. But I legally can't. But I've considered it.
I'll hold a grudge forever. But this anime has a very high ranking right now. I know it features some pretty good fan service, and that's really about it. I also know that there's a gal character. Gal characters are my favorite type of characters. I love them so much. So overall, this should be a good ride. I like me some fan service.
綺麗だろう。このひなさん、じいちゃんたちが作ったんだぞ。すんげえだろ。
すごい綺麗。
The story opens up with a flashback for our main character Wakana Gojo. He's spending time with his grandfather and he notices that he has hina dolls, traditional Japanese dolls. From this point, Wakana becomes infatuated with hina dolls and their beauty. Unfortunately for him, this seems to have caused some sort of rift in the friendship with a girl he used to know. Her proceeding to call him creepy for liking the dolls, which for a child I could see happening, as Wakana seems to be more infatuated with them than impressed by the artistry.
おはよう。
As we can see, he has one in his room and he says Kyomo Kirei, which means he's been saying this on a consistent basis. For me, this is a very minor character flaw. I'm not sure why his friend was so creeped out by him. There might be some context missing. I'm pretty sure there's a lot of people who have an object they hold in high regard. So, I don't know. For me, it's whatever. Then we jump to the opening, which I really like. The song is kind of your average slice of life song, but what really sets it apart is his visuals. Oh my god, they're so beautiful. I even like in the opening how they separate the 2 main characters and then bring them together in one big panel. It's also got some nice Sakuga shots of just handwork, amazing shots. When getting into this anime, there was only one scene I saw with the main girl being in the bikini, and that's it. That's all I had context to. So I'm like, alright, well, it looks nice, but I wasn't expecting how detailed the animation would be. You know, Cloverworks is really hit or miss sometimes. Persona 5, I'll never forgive them. But this anime is so visually appealing, it's crazy. So the simple concept is the girl who wants to perform cosplay, and Wakana here has the abilities to help her. So in the opening, we're given a teaser to the costumes that will be shown in the show. We've got one that looks kind of like an Azure Lane character, and And to be honest, I'm looking forward to this one, but I can already hear the Twitter mob saying, oh my god, blackface. I can already hear it. We got like a devil one, looks really nice. I like this one scene with the background where she's making the heart hands and dancing in the back. It's a good looking opening, one I wouldn't skip very often. The song is whatever, I don't care about it that much. I could see the song catching on to me sooner or later. Kind of like Oriemo. I really didn't like that opening, but like the more I listened to it, the more it was just in my head.
Ohayo, Ji-chan. Ohayo, Wakana.
After the opening, we see Wakana and his grandfather. Apparently, his whole family is just dead, which is really sad. Looks like his mom, dad, and grandmother are dead. It's just him and his grandfather. That's really crazy. To be honest, I'm more interested in knowing what happened here. Like, this is a tragedy on its own. And as far as expectations, I'm hoping they dive deeper into this, because losing like most of your family is a big deal.
じいちゃん何年やってると思ってんだ。48!
We also learn that Wakana is dedicated to his craft of hina doll painting, just like his grandfather. We even get this nice little line. I don't know why I like hearing Japanese people say like English out of nowhere. I like his grandfather just because of it. But despite Wakana's efforts, he's not really good at painting the faces, but he can make the clothes, which his grandfather remarks on.
顔はまだでも衣装は作れんだから上等じゃねえか。
Which will lead later on to the show of us learning how he's going to end up making cosplay for the girl.
高校に上がって友達できたのか?
We learn that Wakana himself is kind of a loner. He focuses so much time on his craft that he's been neglecting his social abilities. I mean, to be honest, what's the real reaction you should have when someone just like elbows you in the back of the head? Well, not elbow, but you know, they swing their forearm and knock you over a little bit. Wakana unfortunately has main character syndrome where he's put in the corner of the class right next to the window. Now let's be honest, this is just a technique that animators and manga artists use, that way they don't have to draw the rest of the class when drawing their protagonist.
6番熾烈めっちゃ面白かった作画も本当に
Now I feel like this is something that's being lost in modern times, people being ostracized for their hobbies. As like when I was growing up, being into anime and games was the most nerdy person out there. And you would have to have a really tight-knit circle of friends. But now, most media has become mainstream. Video games, anime, they're all out there now. They're probably not as like popular as like regular movies or whatever, but the difference from 12-year-old me to a 12-year-old now is vastly different when it comes to talking about what they're into. If Wakana was just some anime nerd, it would be a little bit unbelievable he wouldn't have a conversation with other people. So his dream of being a karaishi or something like that
ひな人形の頭師になること
really hits home like how I felt back then being an anime fan. And much less a manga one. Like I was really into manga. Still am. But most people only know about like anime, so like when I have a volume of Naruto in my bag, people are like, what is this? You know, the book reads backwards, everything. People are gonna look at you like you're crazy. I'm sure people still get bullied over it, but nowadays it's way easier. We also see that that girl in his past still lingers in his mind. Whatever her affiliation to him was, she was really close, and their friendship dissolving hurt him a lot. I understand the setup is ridiculous, but oh my god, what sent her flying like that? You see that nice hair animation she did there? Oh my god, that was smooth. But anyway, this is Marin, our other protagonist. A total gal. I'm a fan, I'm for it. Service. I would also like to mention that she's voiced by Amelie, who's a YouTuber. So props to her for getting the role. I've been listening to her music for years now. Maybe since she started. No slight on her, but I'll be listening to the Japanese dub, as I do like the way gals talk in Japanese. I feel like there's really no real equivalent. I know people like to call it Valley Girl, but I feel like the way gals talk in Japanese is just so much better. And no sign on the translation, I get what they're trying to portray. Service. But anyway, this is the first interaction between Wakana and Marin. Wakana being apprehensive, while Marin is very open and caring.
てかマリンが放課後付き合うって珍しい。いつも消えるのに。
Her friend mentions that Marin disappears after school, so this alludes to things that will happen later on. And this is a nice way just to tell the audience she has something else going on.
ねえねえ、それなんとかってアニメのやつ？オタクちゃん。
おめえがねえわ。人の好きなものバカにすんなよってなるでしょ。それの。
We can even see that Marin cares a lot about her hobbies, or in general, the things that people are into. After school wraps up, Gojo is about to clean up the classroom. Normally in Japanese schools, you're supposed to clean up with like another person or a group they're assigned to do cleanup duty. But instead, the individuals who want to do it say, hey Gojo, will you just do it? And he's like, yeah, sure. Gojo, with the fear of having to fail at conversation with other people, decides to do it himself, because it's just easier than having to confront social anxiety. Part of me really hopes that Gojo can break out of his social anxiety like I had it when I was in high school as well. I see a lot of myself in him, but I mean, I feel like this is a common thing that most people go through. Even to the point where Gojo himself is kind of socially unaware if people are using him, even if it's not nefarious by like nature, and Marnie makes him aware of this.
五条くん、押し付けられてない？嫌なのに何でも言うこと聞くって違くない？自分の気持ちは自分のために言わなきゃダメだよ。
No side on the students, so I don't think they're nefariously using him, but you know, they see an easy way out and they take it. This leads to a scene of Gojo then reflecting on himself back at home, about how he's been suppressing his feelings, not really opening up to other people. Again, that girl really did hurt him. Whoever she was, she really did leave a critical hit. Then we learned that he has an old sewing machine, really old by the way. This thing is an antique. My grandmother owns a ton of sewing machines, so I'm really used to seeing them, but I've never seen one this old looking. She was always on top of that kind of stuff, buying the newest models and stuff like that. Normally for me, slice of life really has to be funny. I feel like that's a major element that should be nailed down. And my dress up drawing has a few good gags in it. But unfortunately for Wakana here, he's been caught in 4K.
Stay right there, stay right there, stay right there, stay right there, stay right there. Cause I just caught you in 4K.
Sabas. Luckily for him, Mani finds it impressive that he can sew, and even the Hina doll beautiful. I always love when anime go into such detail, especially with clothes. It looks so nice. So after learning that Gojo can make clothes, even though it's for Hina dolls, so they're like for small people, or small dolls I guess, Mani decides to show him what she's been up to. So Mani Hina is trying to make her own cosplay, but she shows Gojo the picture and he just kind of goes hard on her. He holds no punches, it's crazy. It's like a switch just flipped in his mind.
狙ってもここまで下手にできませんよ。裏地が必要な布ですよね。配信も全然してないし、したいとないじゃないです
So
か。
Gojo here knows his stuff about sewing, which is really cool. One thing I've said before is I love it when shows have insight to something, because if you learn something, I think that's a positive. I don't know a lot about sewing, even though my grandmother used to just do it all the time. I really didn't pick anything up from it. I know how to do a few things, and that's about it. Like, I know how to close a hole if something tears in my clothes, but really that's about the extent of my ability. Even as a teenager, when I first started going to conventions, like after my first or second convention, I really wanted to do cosplay, but really just didn't have the technical skill. I truly feel like Gojo is my Japanese counterpart in a different universe, where I did take up sewing or something instead of like just generic art.
私がコスしたくて作ったんですね。漫画とかアニメとかゲームのキャラと同じ格好がしたいの。とっても究極の愛ちゃんは。
So Mani Hina is into cosplay, and I think this is a really good combination of characters. One who has an amazing amount of insight, and the other one who has an amazing amount of passion. While I wanted to cosplay, it was really because I just wanted to be in a cool costume. But I know there are cosplayers who reflect on it as an art form, living out the character, and I think that's really important.
五条くん、私に香水書を作ってくれないかな。無理なら。
So Mani here decides to ask Gojo, will you help me? Will you help me make cosplay?
わかりました。
マジ？
はい。
It's a good moment. Our duo has now been formed. Then we have this scene where she's gasping, she looks down and she gasps again and she's holding her mouth. Again, really good, fluid, nice human animation. See, things like that, like gachi namida dektata. Like, I like that kind of gal talk, especially when they use with like gachi. I really like it.
Gachi? 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 Gachi?
I listen to Japanese people talk like just about every single day. Besides just anime, I watch like Japanese variety shows, I watch VTubers every single day. So I picked up on like some of the Japanese, and even then I took Japanese classes also. So I'm not proficient for sure, but I know a bit about it. And there are definitely certain phrases that ring nice in my ear. And I would consider most gals speak that kind of nice sound to me. And I find it weird too, because since I'm not into English slang at all. Maybe because I just didn't grow up using it. I wasn't really paying attention. She's like, oh, I want to be this character. And then I heard Nuru Gakuen. And then I heard the rest of it. I'm like, this is just an eroge, huh? It's just a hentai game. I love it. I definitely love it. Like I said, I can pick up on Japanese words. My vocabulary isn't like perfect for sure. Then we have the ending, which I like a lot. It's stylized, it's really cute. It reminds me of this one YouTube musician. I honestly don't remember their name, but they had a very similar style. If I can find out, insert the clip right here and probably their name.
聞き取りにくかった。セイントヌルヌル女学園。お嬢様は地獄クラブ。ハレンチミラクルライフ2のクロエしずくた。
Yeah, Japanese people have a weird taste for long titles, especially for their adult material. It's really weird. I don't know why. Why would you waste that much time reading it? But I guess it's like a strong description of the story, or the premise, I should say.
てかいつまでマジで聞いてんの？ネタなんだけど。でね、さっきの
ネタなんかじゃない。北川さんは1ミリもふざけてない。あの目は本気の目だ。
I really love the part where she's going on and on and on about the eroge game. I'm all for it. I'm all for it, Marin. I'd give her a fist bump. We could talk about eroge all day. Marin, are you into Taimini Nasagi? Am I showing my ass a bit too much here?
でもこんな顔するんだみたいなイベント増えてくるじゃん。
Service.
負担になりたいってわかる？五条くん。
全くわからなかった。
YouTube, please don't ban me. I'm trimming the line here, please.
年齢制限があるんじゃないかって。
オッケー、問題なさそうだね。
Yeah, no problems at all.
そういうゲームは女性は敬遠してやらないと思ってました。
好きなものに男とか女とかって関係なくない？
I do like when stories push this norm. Nothing should be defined by your gender at all. So what if you're a guy who likes sewing? So what if you're a girl who likes eroge? You know, there's nothing that tells us we can't like certain things.
足りないものは買いに行くとして、まず採寸からですね。
じゃあ今から。
ああ、いえ。
So now the two are finally going to move forward with making Shizuku-tan. Gojo has plans to start at a later date, but Marin decided, hell, let's just go for it now. So she shows up to his house uninvited.
すいません。今日休みなんです。
いや、来ちゃった。
A bit weird, if I could say. You know, she just looked up his name and found hina doll shops. I mean, he told her his family works with one, so I mean, it's not hard to find it. But maybe, I don't know, call the shop or something and let him know you're coming. She's so free-spirited. And Gojo, of course, can't say no. So episode 2 itself is literally just all fan service. It is a crazy amount of fan service, which is why now I understand why this show popped up in rankings so much. You would never get this kind of god tier fan service animation from like your just regular anime. The character proportions are done so well to keep the human anatomy on shape. To be honest, I'm kind of marveling at it from an animation standpoint. It's a really good showcase of anatomy. You yourself can learn a lot just from seeing this scene. She says, I'm here. He says, we have to get your measurements, and well, you have to be in your underwear.
じゃーん。水着着てきたし。
And she brings a swimming suit. I'm gonna be honest, they're the same thing to me. I understand people feel when you're in your underwear, it's a bit more private, but to me, it's like the same amount of body might be showing from underwear to bikini. So I don't know, to me it feels the same. I'm sure other people feel different about it. But if you were to stand in a room with someone in your underwear or a bikini, I think you would probably feel the same way. I would. So I think I'm just gonna montage this incoming fan service scene in 3, 2, 1. Let's hit it. Some notable things just to mention is like when Kitagawa lays on his futon. Some things I just want to mention in this episode, again, it's just really all fan service, is when she lays on his futon and then she's laying to the side and her breasts are actually moving to the side. I do love it that they apply gravity to her breast. Outside of the fan service, which is nice, I have more of an infatuation with just how nice and cohesive everything is.
何があっても動じない人になりたい。
You know, part of me in this whole episode was thinking, is she just screwing with the guy the whole time? Teasing him on purpose? She knows he's not really used to people, especially girls, like, in this intimate situation. She has to be effing with him this whole time. She has to be. Like, part of me is undecided if she is or not. Because both of them seem to be quite oblivious to the situation, but also naive when it comes to certain aspects. Like when he's using the ruler and he's measuring up to her waist, and he comes a little too close to the area, and she gets a little embarrassed. I'm like, you weren't embarrassed at all throughout this whole thing? This makes me believe that despite her gal appearance, which have heavy connotations, such as these are the kind of girls who like sleep out and stuff like that, Kitagawa might be a more innocent girl than we think. Maybe she herself hasn't had a partner either. And with that, their measuring is done. It took up the majority of the episode. Somehow they managed to make a whole episode full of fan service and not pace it too slowly. I guess in a similar vein, this would be like a shonen show having a full fight episode. You know, that's the main draw, that's the main appeal of it, so people really want to see that kind of stuff, and pacing it right is really important.
新しい名刺ね。
Then we move over to one of the funniest scenes of him playing at Rogue and his grandfather just like,
ご主人様、私の始まる。
Sabas. Gojo himself has a boner, which I'm surprised they went that far with the joke. Normally we just have a red, flustered character, so I appreciate the balls with actually giving him balls, and even making a masturbation joke. Gojo a bit ashamed looking Marin in the face because, you know, he just did something in the morning, so I understand why he's a bit flustered. This whole episode boils down to Marin wanting to hang out with Gojo, where they can finally get like the cosplay stuff done, but he's avoiding her because he's afraid of what other people are going to think about him and her together.
困ってないっつーの。
Neuron activated. She even plays him a little dirty with him saying, people might think we're dating.
じゃ、付き合っちゃう？
But again, this is why I love gals so much. It's just a common expression they have. The onomatopoeia for grinning in Japanese is nia nia, and it's that kind of expression. I like it so much. But she played him dirty here though, that's for sure. And then once again, the show dedicates a lot of time towards the insight of cosplaying. Last episode we got about measurements, a whole episode dedicated to measurements with fan service sprinkled on top of it.
終わって布、レース、リボン、バラの造花、靴。
And then this one's just them shopping, but they're talking about why materials are important, what kind of materials to get, even the wigs. There's so much insight in this one episode. It's really cool. And I like learning about cosplaying. Something now I'm just not into. I can appreciate it as an art form now, but I myself wouldn't go out of my way to go cosplay. I think I've hit my prime on that. If I was younger, I would have done it. After the two finished their shopping spree, they decided to go out and have some lunch, or dinner in this case. And there's this one funny scene. I was kind of thinking to myself, why is this one lady being shown a lot? It's for this punchline.
全校生徒の前で射精が止まらなくなってしまって。
こいつ何言ってんの？お前何笑ってんだよ。
Marin then goes on social media and starts to fawn at all the cosplayers that she likes. And then she relates to Gojo, you haven't said any of them are beautiful. This is where Gojo defines like his idea of beauty, which lingers on to the hina dolls.
五条くん的には綺麗じゃないの？
そういうわけじゃ。
じゃあ何？
こんなに綺麗なものが世の中にあるんだ。心を掴まれたような感じで、綺麗は特別なものに対する言葉になって。
So my only expectation is that like by the end of the series, he'll call Marin beautiful or something like that. Hoping at least.
したかったんだよ。俺。五条くんに。
Something I haven't mentioned yet because I don't ever think I can like show long enough scenes for you to appreciate it is the music. This is probably one of my favorite OSTs of this season. I really do like Osama ranking. You know, I'm not too much into fantasy stuff. I do like jazz arrangements and everything else like that. Like, it's more Persona-esque. Or I should say Persona 5-esque. It's really good. Also, Cloverworks, I haven't forgotten you. Anyway, I really do love the OST in this show. It's so amazing. Every scene with the OST is really fitting. So props on them for a really good soundtrack.
あった。ちょうど2週間後にあるみたい。
2週間後
Then we learn that the event is in 2 weeks, the cosplay event is in 2 weeks, that Mani wants to attend. For me, I'm just like, I don't know, is 2 weeks even enough to make like a shirt? Like handmade, is it? So now we're about to reach the climax. Will Gojo be able to make it in 2 weeks or not? I've only heard in passing about how bad gropers are in Japan, especially on trains, but for whatever reason, this one comes off as a bit more comical than I thought it would. You will not escape. Molestation is a crime.
友達とちょっと買い物行ってて。
それとも本か？
じいちゃん
Gojo finally getting home, and unfortunately in his bag is a fishnet stockings, which surprises his grandfather, which this took a big twist. He ends up in the hospital because of this. I thought it was just going to be, oh, he fell. But no, he's in the hospital. It's surprising. I mean, he's an old guy, and apparently all the other family members are dead, so maybe they're all just frail by nature? But this is just set up for Gojo to push himself in order to finish the costume in time. In this episode, the world is against him. His grandfather is hurt, the tests are coming up, and now he has to make a cosplay in 2 weeks, something he's never done before. Now, let's be honest, the show isn't going to make him fail, but this is the payoff of the story arc to see her cosplay. It's going to be the payoff for every story arc to see the cosplay, so they have to throw a wrench inside all of the plans of cosplay making. Or at least I hope they do. But then again, it would get repetitive too. That's why I wanted to cover this when the cosplay is finished. I wanted to see like the whole story arc to the payoff of it. It's similar to, I always call upon shonen, but it's similar to like the end of the arc when the protagonist defeats the bad guy with their new skill or whatever. And if I had to rate the episodes on like which was my favorite out of the 4, episode 4 is definitely my favorite as it focuses mainly on Gojo's conflict. Episode 2 would obviously be the next one since fan service, and it's just so nice, the animation.
夜ならいると思ったけど、いないっぽいな。
With all this on his plate, he doesn't have time to tend to Marin, the only relationship he's made so far, ever since losing his one friend.
頭痛い。
We then see Gojo in his bed laying down. His overwork has finally taken a toll on him. And I like this scene. Again, I can relate to this character a lot, where sometimes I feel like I've really gotten nothing done. Even though I've probably done a lot of stuff, I feel like nothing is still done yet. We jump to a flashback of him and his grandfather.
毎日手を動かしてねえと腕がなめるからな。一日でもサボると感覚戻すのに3日もかかっちまうんだぞ。
Another really good scene about a person and their craft. It's unfortunate in today's time that honing your craft isn't as important anymore. The consumer really doesn't care anymore. As we've seen, especially with NFTs, that the consumer doesn't care about the level of skill. I've seen 12-year-olds with doodles that have gotten millions of dollars in crypto money, while a person has worked years to hone their craft and they're barely paying their rent. I would like to still be a romantic and say that it does matter to hone your craft, but it really doesn't. And that's just the unfortunate truth of it all. People like me who sit here and criticize things really don't matter. At the end of the day, companies want the easiest product, and the people who know no better will buy any product. Sorry, I didn't mean to get a bit real there, but sometimes it happens.
どんなに好きだからって向いてるわけじゃない。頑張ったからって報われるなんて限らない。
Even Gojo relaying, loving something doesn't mean you're any good at it. In my Hard Garden and Spice video, some people have mentioned like they want to be writers, or they want to draw comics, or they want to create something. Love for it is necessary, but it doesn't mean it's going to be good. I've even replied to some of you saying like I made comics before too, or I made something and they were just bad. Again, just another harsh, unfortunate truth.
好きだからってやっていけるもんじゃねえしよ。好きだからこそ大変な時にも踏ん張れるもんだよな。
In my Osama ranking video, I advise you to chase your dreams. Unfortunately, it doesn't mean your dreams will always come true.
なんでこんなにダメなんだろう。
And I'm a fan of this self-doubt that Gojo has. It's something many creators will go through in their lives, especially when pushed to the limit.
Thank you.
And now Gojo, remembering his bond to Marin, decides to get up and get back to work. I know people have hard feelings about doing extra work, but sometimes you need to. Now it's unfortunate for Gojo, because he still believes at this point in time, that deadline of 2 weeks is coming up soon. 6:26 a.m. It's finished. I'm going to sleep. I feel like if I had some collaborators in whatever projects I had, because I stay up late all the time to finish anything I need to do. Whenever I have a project or something, like these videos, once I start recording them, I jump right into editing them, and it can take hours. But most of the time, I never stop getting off task. That's just me. If the video's going to take super long, I do have to stop sooner or later to sleep. For the most part, even to the detrimental part, when I start something, I don't stop until I finish it. Like if I'm starting, I keep going. And I'll go as long as I think I need to.
これでイベントに出られますね。
私が今日のイベントに出ると思ったの？
違うんですか？
ごめん、私がちゃんと言わなかったから。
But Marin drops a bombshell that she was just gonna wait for him to finish anyway, because there's a lot of cosplay events. But I do like how she goes out of her way to apologize to him for giving him the wrong idea and sending him the wrong message, inadvertently telling the audience also that Gojo has to rush it. So if you felt any emotional connection towards him, you'll be like, oh my god, really? Maybe some people would even hate her because of it. I wouldn't. I can see people being like, oh my god, Marin, why? It's a good way of tricking your audience, that's for sure.
になりたいんですよね。
めっちゃなりたい。
Again, another line of like gal talk I really like. Gojo even knows how to do makeup because the hina dolls have it as well. Things such as eyelashes and eyeshadow and blush. Again, another nice moment of insight. Another thing I like to mention, no, I'm not looking at her butt, but look at how her belt is buckling up in her jeans. It's just, again, a really nice detail. Such a small thing. They don't even have to do this. They could have just made it round at the end, and no one would have noticed. But someone went out of their way to detail this.
そんな風に笑うんだね。
あれ？
This scene, you have to watch it yourself. There's a really nice song playing in the background. Sabbath, Sabbath, Sabbath. So now the time is nigh. We can finally see the payoff of this whole arc, the cosplay. This moment has to be good. This is what the audience has been building up to, just to see this one moment. And we already know the show is going to be built upon these moments, or at least hopefully that's going to be the case. As there's only, what, 4 to 5 cosplays in the opening? Meaning each arc should revolve around these cosplays, with us learning the process behind making them and everything. With some key elements being learning the process of making said cosplays. Each one should be different by some respect. Again, I'm really looking forward to the tan skin one. And with that, we got it. That's the payoff. I think it was pretty good. I'm assuming the next episode might have a bit more shots of her as Shizuku, but I'm surprised it took up to 4 episodes to get here. It really did take its time. Now, of course, the other ones will be streamlined since we don't have to do the measuring process or buying the materials. Like episode 2 and 3 really took its time setting up like the identity of cosplay and the things behind it. And episode 1 developed our connection between the 2 main characters, and episode 4 created a conflict. Overall, I think I love this series. Cloverworks, you did a good job, Persona 5. I believe all stories have a target audience. I might not be the target audience for this kind of show, as fan service is a thing I really liked when I was like a teenager. Like now, it's still in my top 5, but I would call it like number 3 or 4 when watching a show or enjoying a story. It's not the thing I'm looking for. Because at some point, like, fan service just pushes the edge, and at that point, I should just be watching R18 material anyway. But I do appreciate the show going into detail about a subject that I really don't know too much about. Like I said in the beginning of the video, insight is so important. Because if anything, learning something is always good. I'll definitely be watching this one weekly. It's definitely going to be put on my to watch every single week list. And I'm hoping to get to season 2. With all that said and done, I'll see you next time. Peace out.